of cholesterol, it'll collect in their arteries and cause clogging of the arteries. And so because rabbits are vegan, essentially, and so they don't eat a lot of cholesterol. So meat has cholesterol, and no matter what meat you eat, whether it's fish or chicken or pork or beef, it all has the same amount of cholesterol. You don't decrease your cholesterol by eating a white meat, for example. It's all cholesterol. That's what cells are made of. And so cholesterol is pretty high in organ meats. If you're eating liver and kidney and stuff like that, you're going to have high cholesterol.
Hello, everyone. Guys, if you were on our webinar yesterday, you maybe have prepared yourself for this, but if you want to be on camera, let us know. We'd love to have you guys join us on camera. All you have to do is hit that raise hand button if you're on Zoom. I'd love to add you as a panelist, and then you can turn your video on. So just make sure you're fully dressed. That would be our request. And then, oh, we got someone that already wants to. That's great. And then, well, I'll have you guys stay on mute also, but we would love to see you guys. So let's see if it work today. Never know.
No, wait. I missed the webinar yesterday. It looked like so much fun.
It was so fun. It was great to see everybody. So we have quite a few people hopping on already. So again, guys, if you want to be on video, let us know. It looks like Don does. Just hit that. Oh, Robin's back. Great. So I'm going to promote you to panelist, and then you can turn your video on if you want. I'm going to leave it like this for a minute. So it'll be a little crazy here in the beginning, but this is the Heathy Heart Webinar. We're excited that you guys are here. This is our weekly webinar. We do this every Thursday, same time, 12 Central Time. And today we are going to talk about the link between cholesterol and heart disease. So this will be a good topic. I want to make sure I can get this shared. Probably have to share it to my personal page again, but that's okay. My page, my own timeline, I guess. All right, here we go. So how do you get on? Okay, so what you're going to do is you raise your hand. You hit that Zoom button to raise your hand, and then I will add you as a panelist. Once you're added as a panelist, you should have an option to enable your camera. So that's kind of how it'll work. All right.
So so I work in the customer service department, and we were watching we listen to a webinar every week to get educated so we can help our customers the best we can. So my team watched the teeth webinar just for today, and some of them commented. We had a guest on here from Colombia, and a lot of our teammates are from Colombia. So if you're from Colombia, give a shout out so we can recognize you. Our customer service team wants to know you. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. I'm going to add some more people here. Before we get started today, I'm just going to, we always have to say this, Dr. Saunders is not your doctor. So before you implement anything that we're talking about today, make sure you chat with your medical provider or whoever you have overseeing your care. Here we go. We're getting some more people. If you are a panelist now and you don't turn your camera on, it may still hide you just because of the way that the settings are. But again, today we're going to be talking about the link between cholesterol and heart disease. And if you've been around these webinars for a while, you know that Dr. Saunders' beliefs about cholesterol are going to seem a little strange. In fact, when we talked about cholesterol on our type 2 diabetes webinar one time, and I had gotten some messages from some of the guys that maybe you have talked to on the phone, some of our coaching team, and they were like, are you sure you guys' information is correct? Are you sure that's an okay number for cholesterol? And it was very funny and it was good. They got to watch the webinar and they learned a bunch too. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to chat about cholesterol. And so, you know what, let's start with this. What is a typical good cholesterol range that would be accepted by most people, most doctors, let's say?
Okay, so cholesterol is something that was many years ago. Somebody decided that there was a drug that could lower cholesterol. And so they used rabbits Rabbits, if you give rabbits a bunch of cholesterol, it'll collect in their arteries and cause clogging of the arteries. Because rabbits are vegan, essentially, and so they don't eat a lot of cholesterol. So meat has cholesterol, and no matter what meat you eat, whether it's fish or chicken or pork or beef, it all has the same amount of cholesterol. You don't decrease your cholesterol by eating a white meat, for example. It's all cholesterol. That's what cells are made of. And so cholesterol is pretty high in organ meats. If you're eating liver and kidney and stuff like that, you're going to have high cholesterol in your diet too. And so when you feed rabbits cholesterol, then it collects in their arteries, and everybody said, aha, that's the problem with heart disease. It's cholesterol collecting in the arteries. It actually in carnivores or omnivores, cholesterol does not collect in the arteries. Since human beings are omnivores, you can feed them a whole bunch of cholesterol and it doesn't collect in their arteries. So then what is this cholesterol thing? Well, there is several drugs now, and this is a billion-dollar market. It's too big to fail. So they won't let it fail. And they have their advertising budgets are in the billions of dollars too. So they have billions of dollars to put out a lot of propaganda to say that cholesterol is the enemy. Cholesterol is not the enemy. It's not even the problem. So if you look at just numbers, the numbers come from marketing departments of drug companies. The numbers don't come from research that shows that there's an optimum level of cholesterol. So if you look at research to look at what the optimum, the perfect level of cholesterol is, it would be 220 plus or minus 20. So 200 to 240 would be the perfect amount of cholesterol that would give the lowest death rate and the greatest chance of rebuilding and repairing your tissues, because cholesterol is needed for all those things. You have to have cholesterol to make all your hormones, all your steroid hormones, which means cortisol, and it means testosterone. Without cholesterol, you can't make testosterone, and estrogen and progesterone, and DHEA and pregnenolone. All of these hormones are made out of cholesterol, and the lower your cholesterol, the less you make of them, and which means you have less hormonal support. And then so what else? Well, without cholesterol, you can't make a single cell in your body. Every single cell requires cholesterol. And so if you have one cell that doesn't have cholesterol, it's dead. And so you have to have cholesterol. So what about all these cholesterol deposits in the arteries? Well, what's in the arteries has cholesterol because every cell is made out of cholesterol. And these are clots that have formed that have cells in them, a lot of red blood cells, first of all. And so of course they're going to have cholesterol. That's the cellular material that's going to be in there. So yes, there's cholesterol in there in the clots, but the problem is not the cholesterol. The problem is the clots. And so when we talk about heart disease, we're talking about clotting. We're not talking about the things that sell drugs. We're not here to sell drugs. We're here to help you get better and to find out what's the real underlying problem, instead of looking at I call them fake risk factors, which I don't know a better way to say it, because they're not real risk factors. If you have a cholesterol of 300, your level of heart disease is not any more than if you have a cholesterol of 100, assuming other factors. And there's a lot of other factors involved in that. That's why the number for cholesterol is not worth looking at.
Okay, so Paul says my total cholesterol is low. It's 95. Could this be caused by the statin I'm taking?
Oh yeah, that definitely could be. Yeah.
Okay. And then Anne says, so if my cholesterol is 135 total, do I need to do things to raise it to 200?
So what do you do to raise it? That's the question. So if you're taking a statin, you don't want to be on a statin. If your cholesterol is that low, young women have a wider range of acceptable, and so they have less issues with it being 150 or 250. So they're they can be, young women can tolerate a lot of variation in cholesterol. So having a lower cholesterol is not going to be an issue. But the idea that you want to get your cholesterol down is really not a useful thing to look at. Really, there are other risk factors, like we talked about last time, that are much more useful and can help you much more.
Okay, I'm seeing so many of you guys hopping on. We have a lot of new people coming on. So guys, if you want to be on camera, let us know. You just click, if you're on Zoom, go ahead and click the raise hand button on Zoom, and then I will add you as a panelist and you can turn your video on. We have quite a few people who are panelists right now. If you want to turn your video on, you sure can. We'd love to see you. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but I can see you hanging out there thinking about it. So you want to, it's not scary, I promise. And you don't have to talk, but we would just like to see your faces. So, and that way other people know too that there's actually real people on these webinars. I'm not just making these questions up. Although these would be really good questions if I did make them up. All right, Tom, I'm promoting you. And oh, Emil's back. Great. He was here yesterday with us. Fun. All right, here we go. All right, I think we have some more questions that are coming in. If you guys want to post your questions in the Q&A, that's the best place for us to manage those. And let's go to another question. Do you recommend any herbal products that are good for high blood pressure? This is from Roxanne.
Oh, okay. Roxanne, thank you for asking. We are actually in the process right now of working on some supplements for herbal products. So I've been doing some research on it. And in the case of herbal products, there are some things that can help with blood pressure. But first of all, the first thing you need to know is why. And so that's the issue that we've had. And the reason we don't have a supplement, herbal supplement or whatever for blood pressure is because there's a lot of different reasons why your blood pressure can be low. So we're looking at maybe doing a series of formulations to help with certain things. Like, let's say we looked at 4 things. One is inflammation. If you have inflammation, then there are things for your blood pressure that can lower the blood pressure and improve your function of your arteries by lowering inflammation. So you'd have things like turmeric and boswellia. If you have a problem with nitric oxide is what dilates your blood vessels and allows blood to flow into the areas that need, like if you're running, then your muscles make the nitric oxide to dilate the blood vessels so that the arteries can let a whole bunch of blood into that muscle so that you can regenerate the ATP, the energy of the muscle, and get rid of all the lactic acid and waste products. So that's how you dilate blood vessels. And some people don't do that well. And so they have constricted blood vessels and high blood pressure. And so in that case, there would be another formulation, herbs that can be used for that. Most of those are amino acids like arginine and citrulline. And then if your problem is metabolic syndrome, then there would be other things that you would use, because people who have insulin resistance automatically have high blood pressure. And so you would want to lower your insulin resistance, which you could go on the diabetes solution kit and get that. But your question was about herbs. And so a specific herb might be berberine, would be one herb that might help with that. And then some bioflavonoids, quercetin, rutin, and luteolin. Luteolin, it turns out, is probably the better one for that particular thing. And those are bioflavonoids. And the last one was, what was the one I missed? There were 4 of them: inflammation, dilation of blood vessels. Adrenal. When you have high cortisol levels, when you have high stress levels and your blood pressure goes up, that's a different issue altogether. And then you would need and herbs that would help. That would be like ashwagandha and ginseng and let's see, there's magnolia. So those are things that help to lower the adrenal stress levels. They're called adaptogens. So depending on the reason for your elevated blood pressure, you might use a different herb for that.
There we go. We can see people.
Yay.
I had a setting in there that was wrong that wouldn't allow them to hop on. Look at how great these guys look.
Yeah.
It's like you tell them they can go on camera and they already have the perfect setup to join us. You guys look great. Hey, this is fun. It's exciting to see you guys. I'm glad to see some faces back again also. Yay. Okay, we got more people that want to come in here too. So great.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question to Dr. Saunders. So you're talking about different reasons why you might need a high blood pressure supplement. So are we creating one supplement or multiple based on what you're talking about?
Yeah, and the plan now is because we can't just stuff everything into one and make it, one size fits all doesn't work, and especially with blood pressure. So we're talking now about we've gotten up to four separate ones.
I love hearing that because it means we're just not throwing a supplement out just to take it. Like, we really want to target whatever's wrong and help you specifically with your problem, and not just and have something targeted for each issue. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Something that's going to work for your problem. And yeah.
All right. We had a question here from Paul. I've had a pelvic aorta aneurysm for years, and my vascular surgeon now wants to put a stent in there. Should I resist this? What can I do on my own to reduce its growth?
Okay. So an aneurysm means you have a weakness in the wall of the aorta. So instead of being about 4 centimeters, it gets to be about 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters. And they watch it and they do ultrasounds of it, and it grows a little bit and grows a little bit. And that means it's stretching out. The aorta is getting bigger, and it's kind of like a balloon. If you're blowing up a balloon and if the balloon's getting bigger, 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 eventually it's going to get really tight and pop. From all the pressure. And that's what happens with the aorta. So as the aorta gets bigger, you have to remember that the amount of pressure stays the same, 120 whatever to 150 whatever millimeters of mercury. And as it gets bigger, you have more pressure around it. So because you have per square millimeter, right? And now you have more square millimeters. So there's actually more pressure in there. So it's more likely to pop as it gets bigger. So how to avoid the surgery? If it comes to a point where it's questionable, you don't want to wait till it pops. You don't want that. That is, even if you're in the hospital, in the surgery room, your chances of surviving a popped aorta are slim to none. It's that bad. So I would say if you're on that borderline range, and that you would probably go ahead with the surgery.
Okay, good question here from Roxanne. I think, Roxanne, are you on camera? No. Okay, I'll see if you want to be. Okay, my cholesterol was 220 and my doctor had me take statins, which made me sick after a year. My cholesterol is now 150. Isn't that too low?
Yeah, that's kind of low. Yeah, so 220 is actually an optimum level. That's a beautiful level. Your length of life, your chances of dying from any cause are diminished by having a 220 versus the 150. So yes, you're better off with the 220.
So there's Roxanne. Hello, Roxanne. Welcome. Okay, let's see here. Isaac says, I'm 47 from a country in Africa called Malawi. I have type 2 diabetes, and I'm so conscious of the fact that I'm at risk for many health issues what would be the recommended daily kind of diet?
Oh, huh. Dang. Well, hi from Malawi. That is awesome. Let's see. I know where Malawi is. But I see, I don't know what your diet would be like and what would be available. So, you know what? Get the diabetes solution kit and just follow the instructions in it. You can make it individualized to your specific type of diet, what's available to you, because what you're going to be doing is counting carbs, and so it's going to be easier to say, okay, I have this available, okay, can't eat that, or a little bit of this, and that's all. And so it'll make it more individual to you. If you get the diabetes solution kit, it's like $20, and you get it online, you get it immediately, and it will you'll be able to work through that and just go through the kit and write down all of your reasons why and all of that stuff. Just go through the whole kit, and I think that'll be the best way to do it.
And I did just post the link in the chat. You can find that at bartonwebinar.com. If you're new to our webinars, that is the hub for all the things that we are doing. You can register for our webinars that we do. We have 2 each week, and you'll get a notification before the webinar begins. You'll also get a notification the day before. Even if you can't make it to these, the benefit of joining these live and being on the Zoom is that you can ask your questions and have Dr. Saunders answer those. But we do record them, so you can watch all of these on our YouTube channel. You'll find a link to that at bartonwebinar.com. Make sure you subscribe, and then you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video. All right.
And Isaac then asked, he said, I already asked about deliveries of synochroma and Herbal in Africa during the last webinar, and the answer was deliveries do not reach the recipients. We're so sorry. We have tried sending to different countries in Africa, and they never make it to the end user. So nobody benefits from it. So we're sorry about that. The only solution I can offer you is sometimes you can get a mailbox here in the States. They ship the product to you or whatever's in your mailbox. Perhaps that might give you a better chance of getting any kind of order from us. But yeah.
And I would say, Dr. Saunders, correct me if I'm wrong, the majority of the things that we offer, the benefits are found in our solution kits. And so you can get those digitally to your email address right away. And if Dr. Saunders is recommending the diabetes solution kit, those products that you're wanting are secondary right now. He would recommend, right? Am I saying, is that okay to say? I mean,
Absolutely.
That's where start.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and fasting. There's nothing fasting can't cure, it seems like.
If you haven't been on some of our vascular webinars, I can see some people laughing, so I know they've been on some.
Well, I'm glad Cheryl said that and not me, but I would have said the same thing.
If you see people who look very sad on the webinar, it's because they're on day 3 of their fast right now. But we have been talking a lot about that, and Dr. Saunders, he really encourages you to do some type of fasting, and so check out some of the past webinars where we've talked about that. I have gotten messages from many of you who are now incorporating that into your daily, weekly lives and just seeing big changes. So if that's you, go ahead and comment and let us know how it's going.
So today, this morning, just before this webinar, a patient came back after only 1 month. So 1 month ago, he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, heart disease. He's overweight. And he's fatigued, and he's a construction worker, and he says, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm done. I got to go home, and I can't think or anything. 1 month later, and this is all he's doing. He's eating breakfast and lunch because he eats lunch at work. He comes home at 4:30, and he says he can work all day long now. Comes home at 4:30, and all he has is broth at 4:30. So he doesn't eat anything to then again, no snacks or anything at night. Goes to bed with an empty stomach. His acid reflux went away. He lost 9 pounds. He can work all day now from the 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So his energy came back, and let's see what else. Oh, his brain. He says he can now, like, even after work, he can still like take care of other things like ordering stuff in the evening. And he couldn't do that before. And that's only 1 month. It's really good.
Okay, there was a message that came in here. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, Robin, it might have been from you. Okay, I might have made that up also. There it is. Okay, Robin, who's on video, and she looks like she's in someplace tropical. I think she was there yesterday too.
Right.
But I met some background.
Florida.
It looks lovely. Okay, Robin says my triglycerides have been high for a number of years. They are 216 now. LDL is 100. HDL 55, cholesterol 198. What can I do to bring the triglycerides down more?
Okay, great. That's a great question. See, it's not really cholesterol, it's triglycerides. This is the issue, but it's just a marker. Triglycerides don't cause the problem. It's a marker. So the question then is, why are triglycerides elevated? Triglycerides go up when you can't use fat for energy. So normally human beings should use about 60% of their energy should come from fat and 40% from sugar. That's 60-40, that kind of thing. When you get insulin resistance, then it goes just the opposite. It'll go 40% fat and 60% sugar. And that decreases your available energy, but it also raises the triglycerides because those are the fats that you use for energy. And you can't use as much of them for energy, and they're still being made, but the insulin blocks your cells from using them for energy. The insulin says, no, don't use fat for energy, use sugar. And that's the problem with insulin resistance is the fat cells don't become resistant to insulin, just all your other cells do. And that's kind of important because then the brain doesn't work as it has less energy. The kidneys don't work as they have less energy. The nervous system, the heart, your heart is supposed to run on like 60% fat. And the heart isn't a pure carbohydrate metabolism. It's also mostly a fat metabolism. So if you're blocking the fat from being used from all that extra insulin, then the heart stops working too. So, we're here about heart disease. And so we're going to talk about insulin resistance now, because that triglyceride level means you have insulin resistance. And so the way to handle that is to switch to a fat burning metabolism. And we've just been talking about fasting. Fasting is a great way to switch to a fat burning metabolism. So the man that I was just telling you about, he eats breakfast and lunch and then has some bone broth at 4:30, and that's his dinner. That's it. And then he has turned to burning fat. How do I know? We tested in his BHB, beta hydroxybutyrate, which is a keto acid. When you're in ketosis, that means you're burning fat for energy. And he lost 9 pounds and his waist size went down. So, he's using up that fat in his belly. So turn your metabolism to fat burning metabolism. And the way you can do that is a similar kind of thing. Having a broth diet is fine. Eating 1 meal a day or just 2 meals a day, like with a 5-hour window of eating or an 8-hour window of eating. You can fast for several days. I've had a lot of people do that, just do a 3-day fast would get those triglycerides down and keep them down for a long time. I have people that do 3 days once a month. Every month they fast for 3 days. And that just normalizes everything, normalizes the metabolism, brings everything back. It takes out all the cancer cells. It takes out all of the dead cells and all the protein and all the cholesterol that's not supposed to be there, all the deposits in the arteries. So fasting would be a good idea, or like a ketogenic diet. So if you were to get the diabetes solution kit and start on phase 1, that would get your triglycerides down to normal.
All right. Joyce had said, what are the risk factors, if not statins, for cholesterol?
What are the risk factors? Oh, if not cholesterol,
I think we talked about the statins quite a bit in the beginning.
Yeah. But so the question is, what are the risk factors? Oh, that's great. Well, see, that's what we did last time. Last time we went through all the risk factors, which ones are not real risk factors, which ones are real risk factors. So we talked about, and you can go back and watch the details of this. Stress is a big risk factor. Your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is a big risk factor. The difference between where they eat mostly fish and have a very high omega-3, they have 1/10 of the rate of heart disease as the United States. The United States has 10 times more heart disease than areas of the world where they live on mostly cold water fish. So that is a big thing too, the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio.
But Dr. Saunders, is this what? I mean, that's for heart disease. Are they the same risk factors for cholesterol?
Oh, no, cholesterol is not even a risk factor. No, cholesterol, your level of cholesterol is going to adjust up and down depending on your needs. So there's no risk for cholesterol. That was the point about the rabbits, was that cholesterol is a bad thing for rabbits, but it turns out it's not a bad thing for human beings.
Okay, because I think that's what she was kind of asking, what are the risk factors other than the statins that are messing with cholesterol?
Oh, yeah. No. That
brings them down really low?
What, the statins?
I'm sorry, that brings cholesterol down really low? Is there anything else?
Oh, that brings it low? Yeah, you can go on a vegan diet and go on a fat-free diet and just eat fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, peas, and lentils. And if you lived on a diet like that, your cholesterol would be really low because all the fiber takes the extra cholesterol and bile acids and all that out of your body so that your liver doesn't make as much.
Interesting. Okay, so are you saying we should be eating more meat or? That's funny.
No, it's okay. No, but your cholesterol is not the most important.
It's not the enemy that
right.
the farmer wants you to believe it is. Like
right.
The way that Dr. Saunders talks about cholesterol, every time I'm like, give me all the cholesterol. It's for hormone health. It's like, it does nothing bad in your body. It only helps your body.
Very interesting. Okay. Cardenia said, what do you recommend to help cleanse your blood system of cholesterol buildup?
Okay. So it's not cholesterol buildup. Remember, it's clots, and the clots organize and they get calcium deposits in them, and they stay there. And so the cleanse for anything, if you want to clean anything out, except for maybe heavy metals, I don't know, but every other type of cleanse is really a very simple process of not eating. Every time you stop eating, you do something called autophagy. Auto means self, phagy means eat. So you're eating yourself. That sounds kind of weird, huh? But what are you doing? You're taking the deposits out of your arteries because you need those. And you're taking the dead cells, and you're taking the cancer cells and all those tau proteins that are deposited in your brain, and all the extra amyloid and all this stuff that is too much is getting used up as you're not eating, and that's your detox. So the best detox is fasting.
Okay. I did this one yesterday, and I'm going to do this again because it's so fun, just for a minute, because it feels like we're in the classroom with Dr. Saunders and he's sharing things, right?
I've always wanted to be a teacher.
You are a teacher.
You are. Yes.
Okay. This is a question. We used to get this question quite a bit. What about a leaky valve? This is coming from Trisha.
Okay. A leaky valve is a different issue entirely. And so depending on how much it's leaking, it can make a lot of difference. So if it's a mild leak, it's not going to be a big deal. If it's a really a lot, if it's a severe leak, then what happens is the heart pumps, but because the valve doesn't keep the blood out, then it goes right back into the heart, and so the heart is pumping the same blood over and over again if it's the aortic valve or the mitral valve. That is really leads to difficult circulation difficulties when the valves are leaky. So some people need valve replacement when they have severe leaky valves. But as far as like what causes a leaky valve, damage of some kind, and sometimes it's a genetic thing, and sometimes it's infectious diseases, and sometimes people have what's called Marfan's or EDS, Ehlers-Danlos, and these are problems with connective tissue, and their connective tissue is soft, and so the valves become leaky easily because they don't, the connective tissue isn't firm and solid.
Okay, I was just going to mention, I think, I'm not sure what your name is, but if you guys are on screen and your name isn't showing up correctly, there's an option to rename. You can change your name. So not letting you shoot. Okay, so there should be an option to change your name. Otherwise,
oh, so you mean all those people with the last name of user are not relatives?
Yes, right. They're not all related, hopping on here together. So usually above your name or somewhere, there's like 3 little dots where you can change that usually. But if that's not an option, I'm so sorry.
If you click on your picture, then 3 little dots will show up in the corner. You'll click on that and you do edit profile picture, I think. Is that the one? Or
it shows me I can rename people. So actually, let's see. We have a Zoom user on camera, right?
Rename. That's what it is.
Send me in the chat your name, and I think I can rename you. So if you want to do that, I feel like I should know your name, but yeah, let's do that. Okay, let's do another question here. Judy had asked, what makes the aroa grow like you were talking about? Aorta, maybe? What were we talking about early on? That would be something like aurora or aorta.
Oh,
maybe?
aortic valve.
Oh, that could be. What makes it grow, like you were talking about?
Okay. What makes the cholesterol deposits or the clots grow? Is that what it is?
Yeah, she said yes, that's it. Spelling bad. So aorta.
Aorta, yeah.
Aorta. Yeah, what makes the aorta grow?
Yeah. We were talking about the aneurysm. Okay, so the reason you get an aneurysm is because the connective tissue is not firm. It's the same problem like with the valve problem. If your collagen is really good, then it's not going to affect the aorta at all. There's just not enough pressure in there to cause it to balloon out. So it balloons out when you have elastin, but not good collagen. And it's actually pretty common to have collagen abnormalities. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So people who are double jointed, right? They can take their thumb and put it all the way back to their hand, or they can bend their fingers all the way back. And my son has it, and his elbow goes the other way, and it's like really weird to look at. But anyway, he's double jointed. And what that means is that those collagen fibers are stretchy. And so the aorta gets stretchy, and the aorta stretches out, and just it gets a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger as it stretches out. How do you stop it from happening? That's where you don't know, because there's a lot of different genetic polymorphisms, they're called, that are markers for Ehlers-Danlos. And so you have these collagen fibers that are thousands of amino acids long, and if you replace this one, then it isn't as strong as it used to be. But then this other one does the same thing, but you don't know which it is. One of the things that might be important is to get enough sulfur. So the collagen fibers bond together, and in between they have what are called disulfide bonds, and that's what holds them really tight. And if you don't have adequate sulfur, then you don't have really good connective tissue. So Yeah, that's one thing that may be helpful. And I usually put people who have any of these kind of like Ehlers-Danlos or connective tissue problems. I have them just take, as a rule, a sulfur supplement every day. It's called MSM, methyl sulfonyl-methane. There's another one called DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, which is a liquid. And some people just rub it into their skin. And that's interesting. The way they found this was there were hunters in, I think it was Georgia, that found this one area when they would get a deer hide, the deer hide was like super strong. It was a really excellent, there was like excellent deer hide. And so someone decided to do research, and they found out it was because of the paper mills. The paper mills were dumping into the creeks, and the deer were drinking out of the creeks. So they looked at what was coming out of the paper mills, and it was dimethyl sulfoxide, DMSO, which is a sulfur supplement. And so that's why the deer had such good deer hides. And so it's hard for a deer to get enough sulfur, because most sulfur comes from amino acids, which is protein, which is like meat and eggs and cheese. Anyway, so a sulfur supplement might be useful if you have an aortic aneurysm.
All right. Douglas says, greetings from Florida. I got results from a CT scan that determined that I have calcifications of the aorta and its branches, aorta valve, root, and mitral valve annulus. The coronary artery list is as severe. Wait, the coronary artery is listed as severe. I'm currently experiencing some stable angina, which is better after 2 weeks on the program, and double doses of an over-the-counter nitric oxide booster. Is there a chance that the Healthy Heart program can help with calcifications?
In a way, yes. You know, all those calcifications, it's not just your coronary arteries, it's the aortic root, it's the annulus, it's that these are like a lot of different areas of your heart. It's not just in your blood vessels, it's like all over in your heart, which means you have high calcium depositing into your tissues, your soft tissues, which is not normal. So if that's happening, then what you should do is get a really high dose of vitamin K. And the high dose vitamin K, I think, is called Super K or something like that. And there's a few of them. Life Extension has one that's like 45 milligrams. That is enough to, it's vitamin K2, and it takes the calcium out of soft tissues and puts it into bone where it belongs. And you know, that's interesting. I wonder if you've been taking, Douglas, if you've been taking like calcium pills for a while or something like that. Or some people take vitamin D and they absorb extra calcium, but they don't have vitamin K to put it in their bones. And so it deposits all over the place. So I don't know, you know, that's why you got to balance things. It's kind of important. Another thing to consider is magnesium. If you're low in magnesium, then you'll deposit calcium more easily. You got to balance those calcium magnesium. So sometimes it's useful just to take magnesium, which has been shown to prevent the calcium kidney stones. So, and also it helps the bones. You can put more in the bones. So yeah, that's what I would do.
All your beautiful faces again. Gail got hers to work. And Roxy, we can see your name, so that's fun. Isaac says, I'm attempting a 14-10 fast. I will share how that works after 1 month, and I'm trying to get to a 16-8 fast daily.
Okay, so it seems like from the research, a 16-8 is a kind of a great place to be. What that means is you have an 8-hour window of eating and 16 hours a day where your stomach is empty. And so that would be like you would have 2 meals a day at 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock is kind of the optimum place to be for a 16-8 fast.
Okay. Amar says, on the herbs that you mentioned earlier, is it a bad idea to mix them together? I usually dissolve turmeric and ashwagandha with orange juice. Should I take them separately?
Turmeric with ashwagandha. No, that's not a problem. In fact, if I can't think of, the berberine would be okay with those two, and they often come together, as a matter of fact. And all the adaptogens can fit together with. I can't think of any of those that you couldn't use. There was one that I didn't even mention: hawthorn berry extract. Hawthorn is something that also will dilate blood vessels and lower blood pressure. And I think that's okay with all of the other ones too, the adaptogens, berberine, ashwagandha. Yeah, I think, you can mix them. In fact, if you get some of these formulas, it comes with like a list of, this long list of all kinds of herbs and stuff. And I'm like, really, do they have enough of each one of these herbs in there to really make a difference? Or are we talking about homeopathic levels, that are diluted so much? I don't know.
I know I always see people will talk about some of the supplements that they take that have like vitamin D in them. And there is such a small amount, and they're considering that their vitamin D for the day. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Okay, Marcus says, I've never had a problem with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or high A1C until last year. My doctor prescribed me with blood pressure medication of 20 milligrams of olmesartan, medoxamil, and my A1C is 6.1. What is the path for reversing high blood pressure and lowering A1C?
Oh, thank you for including your A1C. Okay. So the reason your blood pressure went up last year is because you're insulin resistant. Insulin resistant causes the blood pressure to go up. Why? Because you don't make as much nitric oxide. The olmesartan is not a good choice for this, because the olmesartan is for kidney problems with high renin angiotensin system. It's an entirely different system. So what you need is the metabolic system to lower your blood pressure. And the best thing you can do is get the diabetes solution kit, get the book and start on the book, and that will lower your insulin resistance and your blood pressure will get down to normal.
Awesome. Okay, Danielle says, I just had an ultrasound of my carotid arteries, and my right one has some plaque. Should I be concerned, and how do I get rid of it?
Okay, so an ultrasound. Okay, the right one has plaque. How do you get rid of it? Okay, so first of all, acknowledging that there's a problem. So you look at that there is some vascular disease in the heart, and it's not unique to the heart. It's going to be all over in other parts of your body too. But why does this happen is your next question. And so it happens because of clots and damage to the lining of the arteries, and then clots form, and then they get like paved over with APC cells, and then you have this clot in the middle that doesn't dissolve like it's supposed to. Clots are supposed to dissolve and then go away. And if it doesn't dissolve, then you have to ask the question, why? Why didn't it dissolve? Is it because I have high lipoprotein A? Is it because I have too much inflammation? So you're causing clotting and not dissolving clots. So the way to make it go away, the best way is to look first at what are the risk factors that you have for vascular disease? Is your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio too high so that you're creating inflammation and causing clots? So looking at all those different aspects, which is why we have a book. You go through the book and you go, this is what's causing that problem. Therefore, this is what I need to do about it. Because if your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is 2, then you don't need to start taking fish oil pills. That's not going to help you. But if it's 12, then you really need to start taking fish oil pills and getting off of the vegetable oils. So to bring that down. So knowing what is the problem is the first step to knowing what to do about
Lily says, I'm taking rutin to strengthen aorta wall. Self-diagnosed. Whether it's working, I don't know yet.
Yeah, well, rutin, yeah, all of the bioflavonoids, rutin's a good one also. Bioflavonoids are really good, and they work with vitamin C. So it's actually a good idea to take vitamin C, about 500 milligrams a day also with the rutin. And you can add quercetin and luteolin to that too.
Joyce is also asking, what is the name or source of the research that you're finding on cholesterol?
Darn, it's from Nature Scientific Reports, and it's from 2019, and it's cholesterol the cholesterol measured in 12.8 million adults. So look in Nature Scientific Reports.
Yeah, we did have a link to that at one point. I'll have to look back maybe. Okay, David said my total cholesterol is 175. Are 2 egg yellows a day, or the yolk, bad for cholesterol?
Absolutely not. Those studies have been done. Multiple studies have been done that show that eggs are really actually good for cholesterol. They have everything you could possibly need is in an egg. Every nutrient you could possibly need is in an egg. It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Valerie said, my son, age 37, has started having a skipped heartbeat. He has no other known issues. Good weight, very active, eats healthy. What could be the cause?
Okay, this is great. And this is something, gosh, we should do a whole webinar on just this, called arrhythmias. And when you have a young person that's starting out with arrhythmias, then asking the question why is the best question to ask. So I can tell you on one level why, but I can't tell you the specific of why, because that's where you have to do testing for your own case. So the general, why does somebody have skipped beats or arrhythmias, is because of a lack of energy. So why does the energy lack? Well, we talked about one earlier today when we were talking about using fat for energy. Your heart needs to be able to use fat and sugar all the time. And so if you have insulin resistance, then you're going to limit the available energy for the heart, and you're going to start getting skipped beats because there's not enough energy for that conduction to happen the way it's supposed to happen, as quick as it normally happens. So the beat gets skipped when it doesn't conduct from the atrium to the ventricle very fast. So that's the beginning of the arrhythmia, is an energy problem. So besides the insulin resistance, you could have nutrient deficiencies. Some common ones include magnesium, coenzyme Q10, L-carnitine, D-ribose. Those are actually fairly common, and they limit the amount of energy that the heart makes. Other things might be toxins. If you have toxicities of lead or mercury, or sugar toxicity, which is actually more common than lead and mercury put together. Those kinds of things. Other nutrient deficiencies might be B vitamins. So there's a wide variety of possible reasons why you could get an arrhythmia of the heart. So looking at why will tell you what to do about it.
Great question here from Robin, who is on camera. Once you have been on cholesterol meds for years and your cholesterol goes down after using the diabetes solution kit, can you go off meds?
Yeah, I don't know why not. Just if your cholesterol is not optimal, make it optimal. Optimal is 220. So just look for an optimal level.
Awesome. Anne says, can you take K2 if you're on blood thinners?
Yes. Yeah. Blood thinners, the reason they talk about blood thinners and vitamin K is because there is one blood thinner, warfarin or Coumadin, which inhibits vitamin K and blocks the factor 10. And the other blood thinners don't work on the vitamin K system, so it's not going to be an issue at all for all the other ones. But if you're on warfarin, then you have to be careful with taking vitamin K.
Okay, 2 questions left. We're going to do this fast. Don says he's waiting for results of the omega-6/3 balance test. Nice job, Don. Don's actually in video as well here. What results should I hope for? And what do I do to improve the balance? How long do you think it'll take to improve?
They're measuring the cell walls, the cell membranes of red blood cells. Red blood cells last 3 months. So your test, and you test once and you say, oh my gosh, it's 10. I want to get it down to less than 4. So I'm going to get rid of all the fried foods and all the vegetable oils. And I'm going to start taking some fish oil, and I'm going to eat flax seeds. And then I'm going to test again in 3 months, because that's how long those cells last. So yeah, it's just 3 months. It's really easy.
Okay, what did you say the ideal numbers would be?
For the omega-3.
Yeah.
Between 2 and 4 is ideal. Up to 7 is okay. Over 7 is high. 10 is definitely high. 14 is like really high.
Okay. Final question. Marion says, I have to take a thyroid pill every day. What can I do to get off of it?
Oh, find out why. You may not need the thyroid pill. Thyroid is the #1 medication in the world. And 80% of people taking thyroid pills do not need thyroid. If you take thyroid pills, then you suppress your thyroid gland. And then you're just normally go, wow, I feel normal on my thyroid pill. That's because you suppressed your thyroid gland. So all you got to do is get off the thyroid pill and see if you need it or not. If you don't take it, what happens? If you go, gosh, nothing happened, then your thyroid gland picked up again and started working, and you're okay. So it's not that hard to find out if you need it or not, because there is no long-term issues or problems or damage by going off the pill, even if you need it. Even people who have no thyroid gland at all, people have had surgery, if you forget your pill, the worst that could happen is you could be draggy for a while.
All right, Valerie says, thank you so much for that explanation. And Robin says, love your webinars. So glad I found you. And Roxy says, thanks, Dr. Saunders. And so, yay. We're so glad that this works, you guys. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. Go bless your patients.
Right. See you next week.
And we'll see you next week. Thank all of you for hopping on, and all of you on camera. That was so great.
Yeah, good to see all of you. It's wonderful.
Yes, we'll see you guys hopefully next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.